Hey guys, I can't believe what I'm about to tell you. Back in 2012, two bored UK students pulled off the weirdest hoax on the internet. They created a fake Wikipedia article about Alan McMasters, a made-up inventor of the electric toaster. This completely fabricated story spread like wildfire online. The fake McMasters tale gained traction on Reddit and other forums. People were actually debating whether this guy existed or not. It's mind-blowing how a simple prank turned into this huge internet phenomenon. You know, it really makes you think about how easily misinformation can spread and why we need to be more critical online. The internet, a vast and often chaotic landscape, breeds strange phenomena. Few, however, are as captivating and perplexing as Cicada 3301. It began in 2012, a whisper in the digital ether. A cryptic image, appearing on the anonymous message board 4chan, beckoned those curious enough to seek its hidden message. This marked the start of a digital scavenger hunt unlike any other, one that would captivate the world's attention and spark countless theories about its true nature. Cicada 3301 wasn't just another internet puzzle. It was intricately designed, demanding a wide range of skills from its participants: cryptography, steganography, number theory, and even obscure literary knowledge. The puzzles led participants across the internet, into the real world, and back again. Phone numbers were posted, leading to pre-recorded messages. QR codes appeared on posters plastered on telephone poles in multiple countries. This elaborate nature, coupled with the complete anonymity of its creators, fueled intense speculation. Was this a recruitment tool for a secret society? A government agency seeking brilliant minds? Or simply a group of bored hackers with too much time on their hands? Whatever the answer, Cicada 3301 had woven a captivating mystery, and the internet was hooked. The mystery deepened as quickly as it emerged. After weeks of intricate puzzles and real-world clues, the trail went cold. Cicada 3301 vanished as abruptly as it appeared, leaving behind more questions than answers. The silence was deafening, fueling endless debates and theories in its wake. Cicada 3301, it seemed, was just getting started. The enigma had only begun to unravel, and the digital world was left in a state of perpetual curiosity, always wondering what would come next. The elusive nature of Cicada 3301 makes it difficult to pinpoint its exact origins or the individuals behind it. The only claimed connection to the puzzle came from those who successfully solved it. These individuals, shrouded in anonymity themselves, reported being contacted and invited to join a private forum. This forum, they claimed, focused on security, cryptography, and privacy. Beyond these scant details, the identities and motivations of Cicada 3301's creators remain shrouded in mystery. The lack of a clear objective fueled speculation, leading to numerous theories and wild guesses. Some believe it to be a recruitment tool for organizations like the CIA or NSA, seeking individuals with exceptional code-breaking skills. Others speculate it could be the work of a secret society, protecting ancient knowledge or promoting specific ideologies. Yet, concrete evidence supporting these theories remains elusive and hard to find. The puzzles themselves offer few clues, focusing primarily on technical skill and problem-solving. The lack of a political or financial agenda further muddies the waters, making it difficult to discern any ulterior motives. The anonymity surrounding Cicada 3301 is perhaps its most defining feature. It speaks to a desire for privacy and secrecy in an increasingly interconnected world. Whether the creators are a shadowy organization or a group of individuals, their commitment to anonymity has only added to the enigma. Cicada 3301's allure stemmed not just from its mystery, but from the intricate puzzles themselves. These puzzles were designed to challenge the intellect and creativity of participants, pushing them to their cognitive limits. The first puzzle, appearing on 4chan, was just the tip of the iceberg. It was a tantalizing glimpse into a much larger and more complex web of enigmas. It led to a series of increasingly complex challenges, each requiring a different set of skills and knowledge. Participants had to think outside the box and often collaborate with others to make progress. Cryptography, the art of secret writing, played a central role. The puzzles demanded a deep understanding of cryptographic principles and techniques. Participants found themselves deciphering messages hidden within images, using a variety of techniques like Caesar ciphers and substitution ciphers. These methods required not only technical skill but also a keen eye for detail. Steganography, the art of concealing information within other information, added another layer of complexity. This technique required participants to look beyond the obvious and uncover hidden layers of meaning. Hidden messages were embedded within images, audio files, and even physical objects. This multifaceted approach kept participants on their toes, constantly guessing where the next clue might be hidden. The puzzles often drew upon diverse fields of knowledge, ranging from number theory and computer programming to classical literature and ancient history. This interdisciplinary approach made the puzzles both challenging and educational. One puzzle required knowledge of Mayan numerals, while another referenced a poem by William Blake. These diverse references showcased the creator's vast knowledge and the depth of the puzzles. This breadth of knowledge required to solve the puzzles was staggering, hinting at the creator's own intellectual prowess. Participants had to be well-versed in multiple disciplines to stand a chance. The puzzles weren't confined to the digital world. They extended into the real world, creating a bridge between the virtual and physical realms. Clues led participants to physical locations across the globe, from telephone poles in Poland to monuments in Australia. This global reach added a sense of adventure and urgency. This real-world element added a layer of intrigue and excitement, transforming the puzzle from a solitary online activity into a global treasure hunt. Participants had to travel, explore, and collaborate in the real world. As the puzzles progressed, they became increasingly difficult, weeding out those who lacked the dedication or skill to continue. Only the most persistent and skilled participants could keep up with the escalating challenges. Only a select few managed to reach the final stages, their identities and experiences remaining largely unknown to this day. The mystery of who they were and what they discovered continues to captivate the imagination. Cicada 3301, despite its ephemeral nature, left an undeniable mark on internet culture. This enigmatic puzzle captivated the minds of many, drawing them into a world of cryptography and mystery. It demonstrated the power of anonymity and the allure of the unknown in the digital age. The puzzle's creators remained hidden, adding to the mystique and intrigue that surrounded it. The puzzle's virality showcased the internet's ability to connect individuals from diverse backgrounds with a shared interest in mystery and problem-solving. People from all walks of life came together, united by their curiosity and determination to solve the puzzle. The impact of Cicada 3301 extended beyond the realm of online puzzles. It became a cultural phenomenon, sparking widespread interest and media coverage. It sparked discussions about privacy, security, and the power of cryptography in an increasingly digital world. The puzzle highlighted the importance of protecting one's digital footprint and the potential vulnerabilities in our online systems. The puzzle's emphasis on anonymity resonated with those concerned about government surveillance and data collection. It served as a reminder of the delicate balance between security and privacy in the digital age. The mystery surrounding Cicada 3301 also fueled a cottage industry of speculation and analysis. Enthusiasts and experts alike delved into the puzzle, offering their theories and interpretations. Websites dedicated to deciphering the puzzles, forums buzzing with theories, and online communities formed around the shared goal of solving the mystery. And countless YouTube videos attempting to unravel the mystery emerged in the years following the first puzzle. Content creators found a niche audience eager for insights and updates on the latest developments. Cicada 3.301's legacy lives on in popular culture, Its influence can be seen in various forms of media, from movies and books to video games and art. It inspired numerous works of fiction, capturing the imaginations of writers and creators who sought to explore the themes of mystery and cryptography, from novels and short stories to documentaries and television shows. The puzzle's enigmatic nature made it a perfect subject for storytelling and exploration. The puzzle's air of mystery and intrigue continues to captivate imaginations, serving as a reminder of the Internet's ability to foster both collaboration and enigma. It stands as a testament to the power of collective intelligence and the human desire to uncover the unknown. The puzzle's impact on education and recruitment is also noteworthy. It has been used as a teaching tool in classrooms, illustrating the practical applications of cryptography and problem-solving skills. It highlighted the importance of STEM skills in the digital age, encouraging students to pursue studies in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Inspiring many to pursue careers in cryptography, computer science, and cybersecurity. The puzzle's complexity and the skills required to solve it have made it a benchmark for aspiring professionals in these fields. Some speculate that Cicada 3.301 may have even served as a successful recruitment tool for organizations seeking individuals with these skills. Its legacy continues to influence and inspire, leaving an indelible mark on the digital landscape. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Cicada 3301, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more intriguing content. Stay curious and keep exploring the mysteries of the Internet.
In the shadowy realm of cyberspace, a silent war rages daily. I'm Dr. James Blackwood, cybersecurity analyst, and this is the story of how one man unwittingly became our greatest defender. It began in the open source community, where countless developers worked tirelessly to maintain the backbone of the Internet. Enter Gatan, a mysterious figure who quickly rose through the ranks, but beneath his helpful facade lurked a sinister intent. It was Andrei Staltz, a developer like any other, who stumbled upon the truth. In a moment of routine testing, he uncovered a vulnerability that could have brought the Internet to its knees. The discovery sent shockwaves through the tech world. In saving us from digital Armageddon, Andrei exposed the fragility of our online existence. This is the story of how a hacker saved the Internet and why we must remain ever vigilant.
The Internet, a vast, interconnected web of information, a digital frontier where knowledge flows freely. We use it for everything: shopping, banking, connecting with loved ones. But this digital world, like the physical one, has its dark corners, places where danger lurks and threats emerge. And in this digital landscape, there are those who walk the line between light and shadow. Hackers, often portrayed as villains, lurking in the digital shadows. Cybercriminals seeking to exploit and steal. But the truth, as with most things, is far more nuanced. Hackers are not a monolith. They are individuals driven by a myriad of motives. Some, it's true, are driven by greed or malice, but others are driven by curiosity, by a thirst for knowledge. The Internet, for all its wonders, is a fragile thing, held together by lines of code, vulnerable to those who possess the knowledge to manipulate them. And it is this very fragility that necessitates the existence of a different breed of hacker, the ethical hacker, the white hat. These digital guardians operate in the shadows, much like their less scrupulous counterparts. Their skills are honed in the same digital forges, but their motives are vastly different. They are driven by a sense of responsibility, a desire to protect the digital realm and its users from harm. They understand the power they wield, the potential for chaos and disruption that their knowledge holds. But instead of exploiting this power, they use it for good, to identify vulnerabilities before they can be exploited by malicious actors. Meet Ethan, a young man living in the bustling city of London. He wasn't your typical 20-something, glued to social media and chasing likes. Ethan's world existed in the ethereal glow of his computer screen, a world of intricate code and complex algorithms. By day, Ethan worked as a software developer for a tech startup, but by night, he shed this corporate skin and transformed into something else entirely. A digital vigilante, patrolling the labyrinthine corridors of the internet. Ethan wasn't motivated by money or fame. He sought no recognition for his late-night exploits. His reward was the challenge itself, the thrill of the hunt. One evening, as Ethan delved into the depths of a particularly convoluted piece of open-source software, something caught his eye. A seemingly insignificant anomaly, a tiny glitch in the matrix of code. Most would have overlooked it, dismissed it as a minor bug. But Ethan had a knack for spotting the extraordinary in the ordinary. Intrigued, he began to dig deeper, peeling back the layers of the program like an onion, revealing its inner workings. The more he explored, the more uneasy he felt. The glitch, far from being harmless, was actually a backdoor, a hidden entry point that could potentially grant an attacker complete control over any system running the software. A cold shiver ran down Ethan's spine. This wasn't just some harmless prank, some digital graffiti left behind by a bored teenager. This was sophisticated, malicious, and terrifyingly subtle. The implications were staggering. The weight of his discovery settled upon Ethan's shoulders like a physical burden. His heart pounded in his chest, a drumbeat urging him to action. He knew he had to do something, but what? He was just one person, a lone coder facing down a threat of unimaginable scale. He couldn't just go to the authorities. He had no proof, no way to explain how he had found the back door without revealing his own clandestine activities. And even if he did, could he trust them to understand the gravity of the situation, to act swiftly and decisively? The clock was ticking. Every second that passed, the risk grew exponentially. Ethan knew he had to act fast, but he couldn't afford to make a mistake. One wrong move, one misstep, could alert the attacker, sending them scrambling for cover, their tracks erased, their motives obscured. He needed a plan, and he needed it fast. Ethan's mind raced, a whirlwind of thoughts and possibilities. He had to find the attacker, expose their plan, but how? It was like chasing ghosts in the machine, trying to grasp at shadows in the digital ether. He needed to think like his adversary, anticipate their moves, understand their motivations. The back door itself was his only clue, a single crack in the otherwise impenetrable facade. He pored over the code, dissecting each line, searching for any hint, any trace of the creator. The code was elegant, almost poetic in its simplicity, a testament to the attacker's skill. He searched for patterns, for digital fingerprints that might betray the attacker's identity. The pressure mounted with each passing hour. The knowledge of the vulnerability, the potential for catastrophic damage, weighed heavily on Ethan's mind. He felt a crushing responsibility, not just for himself, but for millions of internet users who were unknowingly at risk. The isolation of his self-imposed exile began to take its toll. The line between the digital and the real blurred, the glow of the computer screen his only solace. Doubt crept in, whispering insidious suggestions in his ear. Despite his tireless efforts, Ethan seemed no closer to finding the attacker. Every lead he followed turned into a dead end. Every path he explored led him further astray. Frustration gnawed at him, fueling a growing sense of despair. He had underestimated his adversary, that much was clear. This was no ordinary hacker, no script kiddie hiding behind a keyboard. This was a master of deception, a phantom in the digital realm who moved with an almost supernatural grace. The weight of his failure pressed down on him, threatening to crush him under its immense weight. Was he simply outmatched? Did he lack the skills, the experience to compete at this level? Just when his hope began to dwindle, a glimmer of light appeared in the darkness. A single anomaly, A slight discrepancy in the code of the back door, so subtle it was almost imperceptible. It was a long shot, a desperate gamble, but it was all he had left. Ethan's intuition, honed by countless hours spent navigating the digital underground, told him this was it. This was the key, the missing piece of the puzzle. He had a hunch, a feeling deep in his gut that this anomaly was more than just a random error. With renewed determination, he dove back into the code, his fingers flying across the keyboard with a speed and precision that bordered on the superhuman. He worked tirelessly, fueled by adrenaline and the faintest glimmer of hope. Ethan stared at the anomaly, this digital breadcrumb left behind by his unseen adversary. It was a single line of code, out of place, almost poetic in its brevity. It seemed to whisper, to beckon him closer, promising answers but offering no easy solutions. He recognized the pattern, a subtle manipulation of a common encryption algorithm. It was a clever trick, something he'd only encountered once before in the annals of obscure hacking forums. This wasn't just random noise, it was a signal, a beacon, but to what end? Ethan's mind worked feverishly, pulling at the thread of this new discovery. He delved into the depths of his digital library, unearthing dusty tomes of cryptography and ancient hacking lore. A breakthrough came as the first rays of dawn pierced through the gaps in his curtains. The seemingly nonsensical string of characters, when decrypted with a specific key derived from the manipulation of the algorithm, resolved into a single word: Trojan. Ethan's heart pounded in his chest. It wasn't a location or a name, but a protocol, a method of communication. The attacker wasn't just hiding in the system, they were using the very vulnerabilities they had created to communicate, to potentially extract data, to control other compromised machines. This revelation sent a chill down Ethan's spine. He had been so focused on finding the attacker's identity, he had failed to grasp the true scope of their plan. This wasn't just about exploiting a vulnerability, it was about building a network, a digital army of compromised machines, ready to strike at a moment's notice. Ethan knew he couldn't fight fire with fire. He was outmatched, outgunned, facing an adversary who seemed to be always one step ahead. He needed a different approach, something unexpected, something that would exploit the attacker's overconfidence. Leveraging his knowledge of the Trojan protocol, Ethan began crafting his own program, a digital dragnet disguised as a routine system update. It would be distributed through the same channels as the malicious software, piggybacking on their network. But instead of compromising machines, it would identify and isolate them. He worked tirelessly, fueled by countless cups of coffee and the sheer adrenaline of the challenge. He poured all his skill, all his knowledge into this digital counteroffensive. He knew the risks, knew that one wrong move could alert the attacker, giving them time to cover their tracks and disappear into the digital ether. With a deep breath and a silent prayer, Ethan launched his counterattack. The program, a digital phantom of his own creation, slipped into the network, spreading like wildfire through the infected systems. He watched the progress on his monitors, his heart pounding in his chest. The initial wave of infections slowed, then stopped. The lines of code representing compromised machines flickered, then went dark one by one, until finally, silence. The network, the attacker's digital army, had been neutralized. Ethan leaned back in his chair, his body trembling with exhaustion and relief. He had done it. He had stopped the threat, protected the internet, but at a cost. He knew that this was only a temporary victory. Section 1. The Aftermath. The digital world breathed a collective sigh of relief, though most remained blissfully unaware of the near catastrophe. Ethan, his eyes heavy with exhaustion, watched as the last vestiges of the malicious network crumbled. The threat for now was neutralized. The internet, that vast and ever-expanding frontier, was safe. But the experience had changed him, irrevocably. He had stared into the abyss, witnessed the potential for chaos and destruction that lurked within the digital realm. The internet, he realized, was not a playground, but a battleground. A constant tug-of-war between those who sought to exploit and those who dedicated themselves to its protection. His victory, though significant, was but a single battle in a much larger war. The attacker was still out there, somewhere in the vast expanse of the digital world, licking their wounds, plotting their next move. Ethan knew that this was not the end, but rather the beginning of a lifelong commitment. He had tasted the bitter sweetness of victory, felt the weight of responsibility settle upon his shoulders. He was no longer just a lone hacker, driven by curiosity and the thrill of the challenge. He was a guardian, a silent protector, sworn to defend the digital realm from those who sought to corrupt it. Section 2. The Unsung Hero. Ethan's story, though fictional, reflects a very real truth. The internet, for all its wonders, is fragile. It relies on countless individuals working behind the scenes to keep it secure. These are the unsung heroes of the digital age. The ethical hackers, security researchers, and software developers. They protect us from unseen threats. Their fingers dance across keyboards, battling those who seek to exploit and destroy. They enable us to shop, bank, and connect securely. Their work is often invisible, their victories rarely celebrated. They toil away in obscurity, their efforts unknown to the millions who benefit. They are the silent protectors, the invisible shield that safeguards our digital lives. Their work is essential, now more than ever. As our lives become more digital, the risks grow. Cyber attacks are more sophisticated and damaging. The stakes have never been higher. Section 3. A call to action. We must support these digital guardians and encourage the next generation of cybersecurity professionals. Educate ourselves about online threats, practice good digital hygiene, and report suspicious activity. The internet is essential to modern life. It is the backbone of our economy, the foundation of our social fabric, and the conduit for our creativity. We cannot take its security for granted. We must protect this precious resource to ensure it remains a force for good. Support those who defend it, and empower ourselves with knowledge and tools. Inspired by Ethan's story, passionate about technology, join the ranks of digital guardians. The future of the internet depends on it. If you found this video insightful, hit subscribe and ring the bell for updates. Thank you for watching. Right, so I've seen my fair share of dodgy deals in the cannabis world, but this was something else entirely. Picture it. London, 2019. The green rush was on and everyone wanted a piece of the action. But then there was this bloke, let's call him Charlie. Smooth talker, sharp dresser, the kind of guy you'd trust with your grand's pension. Charlie had a plan. A plan so audacious, it makes Ocean's 11 look like a nursery school heist. He set up a legitimate-looking cannabis company, all above board, or so it seemed. The genius part, every single plant in his operation was fake, plastic, but nobody knew. He'd spray them with terpenes, you know, to get that dank smell. Even had UV lights to make them look like they were growing. Investors were throwing millions at him, and Charlie, he was laughing all the way to the bank. But here's the kicker. When it all came crashing down, Charlie was long gone, vanished into thin air. It was the most genius cannabis scam I've ever seen, and trust me, I've seen a few. Scams are as old as ambition itself. The cannabis industry, once illegal, suddenly became a gold rush. Laws changed fast, money poured in, everyone wanted a piece. But with rapid growth came chaos. Regulations lagged, oversight was patchy. It was a wild west, a perfect playground for predators. Investors, hungry for quick riches, often skipped due diligence. The market was new, benchmarks few, and expertise rare. Eagerness led to mistakes. Details were missed. Scams flourished. Consumers too faced a confusing world of new products and brands. In this fertile ground, deception thrived. hidden in plain sight. The stage was set for one of the most audacious scams the industry would ever see. Amid the chaos, one scam rose above the rest. Bold, complex, and legendary. It wasn't a petty con, it was a masterwork, meticulously planned. Investors, regulators, even savvy insiders were fooled. The operation's reach was staggering, its impact devastating. It became the cautionary tale whispered at every industry event. The architects weren't seen as mere criminals, but as masterminds. This was the scam that set a new standard for fraud. Now we pull back the curtain on how it all unfolded. The mastermind, Elias Thorne. Not flashy, not notorious, just brilliant. He saw patterns in chaos, weaknesses in systems. His motivation wasn't greed, but the thrill of the intellectual challenge. Thorne's resentment after a career setback fueled his ambition. He wanted to prove the system was fragile, easily manipulated. Even in legitimate roles, he predicted market moves others missed. He was a loner, always refining his mental model of the world. The cannabis boom was his ultimate puzzle. Here, the seeds of his grand deception took root.
Check one, check two, check.
If Thorne was the mind, Julian Vance was the voice. Vance was charming, magnetic, a born salesman. He could sell anything, and people trusted him instantly. His background was a patchwork of sales gigs and near misses. The cannabis boom was his stage, and he played the visionary. Vance craved wealth and recognition, not the science. The thrill was in persuasion, convincing the smart and wealthy to invest. He networked fast, built a reputation, and drew crowds. But his stories were Thorne's scripts, spun to perfection. Together, they were unstoppable. Thorne and Vance's partnership was inevitable. Brains and charisma united. They met online, drawn together by ambition and opportunity. Thorne needed a frontman, Vance needed a scheme. Their plan, create a web of fake companies, each with a unique cannabis innovation. Vance would lure investors, Thorne would handle the details and data. The trigger, a new, loosely defined government grant for cannabis R&D. Thorne saw a loophole, Vance saw a jackpot. They justified it as outsmarting a broken system. The thrill of building their empire was irresistible. Thorne's first move, build an empire of shell companies, each with a convincing role. Viridian Growth Labs, cutting-edge cannabis genetics. Canopy Tech Solutions, revolutionary extraction tech. Greenleaf Logistics, global distribution. Each had slick branding, fake growth charts, and fabricated staff profiles. Registered in secrecy-friendly jurisdictions, their digital footprint was flawless. Vance charmed early investors with promises of a cannabis revolution. Thorne exploited government grants, funneling money into the illusion. Funds went to props, brochures, websites, presentations. The companies looked real, but were hollow shells. Investors saw innovation, regulators saw legitimacy. In reality, it was all smoke and mirrors. Central to Thorne's plan was Cannabinth, a fictitious bioengineered cannabis strain. It supposedly produced synthacrol, a novel cannabinoid with unparalleled medical benefits and no psychoactive effects. Thorne fabricated research diagrams and a staged lab to support Cannabinth's development. Julian Vance, the chief evangelist, presented Cannabinth at investor meetings. He highlighted its potential to change lives and generate astronomical profits, inspiring unwavering belief. Vance painted a picture of Cannabinth as a global phenomenon. Elias Thorne knew perception is reality in high-stakes investment. An impeccable, fabricated paper trail was essential. He designed a system of fictitious transactions between shell companies. They used smaller companies' names and logos in investor pitches. Independent validation was key. He arranged fake testimonials. Endorsements in marketing materials reassured investors. Money from new investors flowed through shell companies. Early investors received handsome dividends, creating confidence. This Ponzi-like element was critical. Early investors became enthusiastic evangelists, sharing their good fortune. Thorne and Vance's scam aligned perfectly with the green rush, where enthusiasm overshadowed due diligence. The scheme's complexity was its defense. Its structure, involving international companies and fake research, deterred scrutiny. Julian Vance maintained the illusion of legitimacy. His charm deflected uncomfortable questions. This fostered loyalty and trust. The scam was a slow burn, designed to grow steadily. This avoided red flags. Early successes reinforced the narrative of a thriving business, lulling everyone into a false sense of security. The cannabis scam began with Julian Vance presenting to carefully selected, affluent individuals in exclusive settings. Vance, impeccably dressed, masterfully captivated his audience. His pitch for cannabinth was persuasive storytelling, painting vivid pictures of cannabis's healing properties. He unveiled sleek brochures, impressive CGI animations, and fake testimonials. Scarcity was key. Investment opportunities were limited to strategic partners. Investors, mesmerized, eagerly signed, neglecting due diligence, sold a dream. Thorne ensured professional follow-up, cementing the illusion of a legitimate machine. Section 2. Manufacturing belief, the tangible facade of lies. With investment capital beginning to flow, Thorne and Vance meticulously worked to make their phantom enterprise appear undeniably real. Sophisticated websites were constantly updated with news. Carefully curated social media channels projected an image of bustling activity. To give cannabinth a more tangible presence, they orchestrated carefully staged demonstrations and exclusive tours of their leased laboratory space. Instead, they focused on smaller, niche cannabis industry blogs, podcasts, or local business journals. By using new investment money to pay dividends to the first wave of backers, they created a powerful group of unwitting ambassadors. This generated a powerful sense of social proof and FOMO among a wider circle of potential victims. Section 3. Dancing on the razor's edge, evading suspicion. As the operation grew, so did the inevitable need to navigate scrutiny. Julian Vance became the primary firewall against any too probing questions. During investor meetings or follow-up calls, if someone ventured into territory that was too specific about the science or requested verifiable, independent data on cannabinth, Vance had a repertoire of well-rehearsed deflections. He would speak passionately about protecting their highly sensitive intellectual property or the complexities of pending global patents. He exuded such confidence and conviction that he often managed to make the questioner feel as though they were being overly cautious, or perhaps not quite grasping the revolutionary nature of the enterprise. The intricate corporate structure, meticulously designed by Elias Thorne with its web of international shell companies, served as another formidable shield. When faced with requests for detailed financial audits or deeper operational insights, they could point to the complexities of their global structure. Information, they would claim, was siloed for security reasons, or subject to differing international reporting standards, making a consolidated, transparent overview temporarily challenging. This bureaucratic maze was often enough to deter all but the most determined investigator, especially when the superficial presentation remained so polished and returns seemed to be flowing as promised to early backers. To further bolster their claims and reassure nervous investors, Thorne arranged for what appeared to be third-party validations. They would occasionally release summary reports from fictitious consultancy firms, praising the potential of cannabinth. Sometimes they would even pay individuals with plausible-sounding credentials, perhaps a retired academic or a little-known industry consultant, a hefty fee to lend their name to a vague endorsement or to participate in a carefully scripted webinar. These experts rarely had any real access to the core operations, but provided a veneer of external approval that helped to quell doubts and maintain the flow of incoming investment. Maintaining the confidence of those already invested was a continuous, active process. Regular, glossy newsletters were distributed, filled with positive, though largely fabricated, updates on research progress, market penetration, and expansion plans. Vance made a point of personally calling key investors, thanking them for their continued belief and sharing exclusive snippets of good news. This proactive communication created a sense of partnership and transparency, even as the core of the operation remained entirely opaque. It was a delicate balancing act, constantly reinforcing belief while meticulously concealing the void at the center of their empire. Section 4. The apex of deceit. Riding the wave of stolen success. There came a period when the scam reached its zenith, a golden age of deception where everything Thorne and Vance had meticulously constructed seemed to function flawlessly. Money poured in from an ever-widening pool of investors, ranging from wealthy individuals to smaller aspirational speculators, all captivated by the Cannabinth dream. The shell companies buzzed with fictitious activity, their bank accounts swelling. Office spaces, though largely for show, were maintained with an air of bustling productivity. For a time, it seemed as if their fabricated reality had indeed become real, at least in terms of financial inflow and outward appearances. Elias Thorne, the architect, remained firmly in the shadows, his satisfaction derived from the perfect execution of his intricate design. He meticulously managed the complex financial flows, ensuring enough new money was diverted to pay out the profits that kept the illusion alive and the investors happy. He monitored the digital presence, tweaked the narratives, and planned the next strategic moves to expand their reach. His days were spent in a state of high alertness, a grand chess master overseeing a game where the stakes were impossibly high. He likely felt a sense of intellectual triumph, having outsmarted so many. Julian Vance, in stark contrast, reveled in the public-facing success. He became a minor celebrity in certain investment circles, the charismatic visionary who was making people rich. He embraced the lifestyle, attending exclusive events, driving luxury cars, and cultivating an image of effortless wealth and brilliance. He was the living embodiment of the scam's success, his confidence now bolstered by tangible riches and the adoration of those he had fooled. The lines between the role he was playing and his own identity likely began to blur, as he became increasingly accustomed to the applause and the financial rewards. During this peak, an almost palpable aura of invincibility surrounded the operation. The early investors were singing their praises. New money was easy to attract, and any critical voices were drowned out by the chorus of success. The sheer momentum of the scam seemed to carry it forward, making it appear unstoppable. Yet even in this golden age, subtle pressures were likely building. The need to find ever larger sums of new investment to sustain the payouts was a constant, underlying stress. And for Thorne, the knowledge that the entire edifice was built on lies must have been a silent, ever-present companion, even as he watched his creation flourish. Even the most meticulously constructed illusions eventually encounter the harsh realities of the world. For Thorne and Vance's Cannabinth empire, the first signs of trouble were subtle. The pressure to find new investors began to take its toll. One investor, Sarah Jenkins, felt a growing unease. Her trained eye started to pick up on tiny inconsistencies. Around the same time, a young journalist stumbled upon the Cannabinth story. He began noticing the opaque ownership structures and the curious circular flow of proclaimed successes. These individual threads of doubt soon began to converge. The elaborate web was beginning to attract unwelcome expert attention. As investigators probed deeper, Cannabinth's edifice crumbled. The network of shell companies became a trail of evidence. Vast sums were siphoned off into private accounts controlled by Thorne and Vance. Julian Vance was apprehended at an awards gala. He was led away in handcuffs, shattering the illusion of his success. Faced with evidence, Vance agreed to cooperate, implicating Thorne. This betrayal was a devastating blow to Thorne's plans. Thorne was tracked down to a modest apartment. His capture was quiet, a stark contrast to Vance's downfall. The Cannabinth scam sent shockwaves globally. Thousands realized they were victims of an elaborate charade, sparking anger and disbelief. Legal proceedings led to Julian Vance and Elias Thorne receiving substantial prison sentences. Recovering stolen funds proved challenging, with only a fraction returned to victims, leading to life-altering financial losses. The scandal served as a painful reminder of vulnerabilities in the cannabis industry. Regulatory bodies tightened scrutiny, and investors learned the importance of skepticism. Cannabinth became a cautionary tale. The Cannabinth scam's success was rooted in human psychology. The green rush created excitement and possibility. FOMO drove hasty decisions as people saw others making fortunes. Rational caution was swamped, making grand promises seem plausible. Thorne and Vance dangled life-changing returns, designed to make eyes widen. Vance, a master storyteller, built trust and inspired faith. Confirmation bias, reinforced by early payouts, played a significant part. First dividend payments validated the investment, strengthening this bias. Early successes transformed investors into advocates, spreading the word. The cannabis scam exploited the cannabis industry's vulnerabilities during its early stages. The lack of benchmarks and public understanding created an informational vacuum. Thorne's complex scheme, with international shell companies and pseudo-scientific jargon, deterred scrutiny. The illusion of legitimacy was manufactured through sleek branding, fake research, and staged demonstrations. A slow-burn strategy and consistent dividend payouts fostered stability, lulling investors into a false sense of security. This allowed the scam to grow until the cracks began to show. The cannabis scam serves as a potent chapter in financial deception. Elias Thorne and Julian Vance wove an illusion so compelling it ensnared many. Even sophisticated ventures can be hollow at their core. Vigilance is an absolute necessity. What lessons can we learn from this tragic fraud? Deep, critical scrutiny is needed. Due diligence is a vital shield. Question, verify, especially claims that seem too good to be true. The lessons resonate across all areas of investment and trust. Constant awareness and critical thinking are demanded. Subscribe for more insightful explorations. Stay curious, stay vigilant. I can't quite believe what I'm about to tell you. We're looking at perhaps the most audacious cyber heist ever pulled off. These hackers, known as the Carbonac Group, managed to steal a staggering $1 billion from banks worldwide. It's an amount so large it's hard to even comprehend. Now, how did these clever criminals manage such a feat? Well, they didn't storm into banks with guns blazing. No, they used their wits and some seriously advanced technology. They infected bank computers with malware, observed the inner workings, and then began siphoning off cash with remarkable efficiency. They even programmed ATMs to dispense money at specific times for their associates to collect. It's like something out of a Hollywood thriller, but this actually happened in real life. The scale and sophistication of this heist are truly mind-boggling. The year was 2013, a year that would soon be marked by an unprecedented cyber heist. Cybersecurity experts noticed something strange. Unusual data patterns began to emerge on their screens. Money was vanishing from banks around the world. Vaults that should have been full were mysteriously empty. Large sums, gone without a trace. Bank employees were left baffled, staring at screens showing missing funds. This was not the work of masked robbers or Hollywood heists. It was something far more sophisticated. This was the Carbonac Group, a highly organized cybercrime gang. They operated from the shadows. Their target, over 100 banks in 30 countries. No bank was safe from their reach. Their weapon, their brains and a keyboard. They used their intelligence to exploit vulnerabilities. By 2015, they had stolen an estimated $1 billion. The scale of their theft was staggering. The Carbonac heist was a wake-up call. It forced financial institutions to rethink their security measures. It showed the world how vulnerable our financial systems are to cyber attacks. The implications were profound. This was not a smash-and-grab job. It was a meticulously planned cyber operation. This was a carefully planned operation. Every move was calculated, every step deliberate. It took years to unfold. The Carbonac hackers were patient, willing to wait for the perfect moment. The Carbonac hackers were patient. They were also incredibly skilled at what they did. They were also very good at what they did. Their expertise allowed them to infiltrate systems undetected. They moved silently through computer systems. They covered their tracks meticulously, leaving no evidence behind. And they always seemed to be one step ahead. Cybersecurity experts were left playing catch-up. This is the story of the Carbonac Group, the biggest bank heist the world has ever seen, a tale of unprecedented cybercrime. It is a story of cunning criminals, technological vulnerabilities, and the high cost of cybercrime, a stark reminder of the digital age's dark side. The Carbonac Group's master plan began with a simple email. It looked like any other business communication. It might have been a bill notification or an industry newsletter, but hidden inside these emails was a dangerous, secret malware. This wasn't just any malware, it was a sophisticated Trojan horse designed to steal banking credentials. These malicious emails were sent to employees at target banks. Unsuspecting employees opened the emails and clicked on the attached files. The Trojan horse sprang to life. It infected the bank employee's computer. It then gave the Carbonac hackers a backdoor into the bank's network. Once inside, they could move around undetected. They could gather information. They could wait for the perfect moment to strike. This method of attack is called spear phishing. It is highly effective because it targets individuals. The emails are crafted to appear trustworthy. They often mimic legitimate communications from known organizations. Once the Carbonac hackers were inside a bank's network, they went into stealth mode, becoming virtually undetectable. Their goal was to avoid detection while they learned everything they could about the bank's systems, from the smallest details to the most critical operations. They watched how transactions were processed. They studied security protocols, understanding every layer of protection. They learned the bank's routines from the inside out, becoming intimately familiar with its daily operations. This surveillance could go on for months, with the hackers meticulously gathering information. The hackers were patient and methodical, never rushing their reconnaissance. They used keylogging software to steal passwords and login credentials, gaining deeper access. They accessed databases containing sensitive customer information, including personal and financial data. All the while, they left no trace of their presence, covering their tracks meticulously. To the bank's security systems, everything looked normal, as if nothing was amiss. There were no obvious signs of intrusion, no alarms triggered. The hackers had become invisible ghosts, operating within the bank's digital walls, unseen and unheard. This period of reconnaissance was crucial to the Carbonac Group's success, allowing them to gather all necessary intel. It allowed them to plan their attacks with precision, ensuring every move was calculated. They knew exactly when and where to strike to maximize their profits and minimize the risk of detection, making their operations highly effective. With their inside knowledge, the Carbonac Group employed a variety of methods to steal money. Their first method was to manipulate bank accounts. They would inflate account balances or create fake accounts. They then transferred the stolen funds to accounts they controlled. Their second method involved ATMs. The hackers would compromise a bank's ATM network. They then instructed the machines to dispense cash at specific times. Money mules, often recruited from criminal networks, would collect the cash. The third method involved debit cards. The hackers would create fraudulent debit cards linked to compromised accounts. They then withdrew money from ATMs or made purchases at point-of-sale terminals. These three methods were often used in combination. The Carbonac Group was adept at moving money through a complex web of accounts, making it difficult to trace. Section 5 Taipei, a costly mistake. For years, the Carbonac Group operated with impunity. They seemed untouchable. But in 2016, they made a critical mistake. In Taipei, Taiwan, the group targeted First Commercial Bank. They stole over 70 million new Taiwan dollars. But this time, they got sloppy. The hackers got greedy. They withdrew too much money too quickly. This triggered alarms at the bank. Taiwanese authorities were called in to investigate. Surveillance footage showed the money mules making their withdrawals. The police moved quickly. They arrested 3 low-level mules. The arrests were a major breakthrough. It was the first time authorities had linked individuals to the Carbonac Group. The arrests also provided valuable clues that helped investigators track the group's activities. Section 6. The Mastermind Unmasked. In 2018, international law enforcement agencies coordinated a major operation. Their target? The alleged mastermind behind the Carbonac Group. In Alicante, Spain, they arrested Dennis K. He was believed to be a key figure in the organization. Authorities seized assets from Dennis K., including Bitcoin, luxury cars, and jewelry. The arrest was a major victory in the fight against cybercrime. It sent a message that even the most sophisticated hackers are not above the law. However, the arrest of Dennis K. was only one piece of the puzzle. The Carbonac Group was a large and complex organization. It is believed that many other members are still at large. Section 7. The Hunt for the Missing Billion. Despite the arrests and asset seizures, the vast majority of the $1 billion stolen by the Carbonac Group remains missing. Law enforcement agencies around the world are still working to track down the stolen funds. It is a difficult task. The hackers use sophisticated money laundering techniques to obscure the trail of their ill-gotten gains. They moved money through a maze of shell companies, offshore accounts, and cryptocurrency exchanges. The hunt for the missing billion is a race against time. The longer the money is out there, the harder it will be to recover. Authorities are using every tool at their disposal, including financial forensics, international cooperation, and advanced surveillance techniques. Section 8. The patch that could have stopped it all. One of the most frustrating aspects of the Carbonac case is that it could have been prevented. The malware used by the hackers exploited a known vulnerability in Microsoft software. A patch for this vulnerability was available, but many banks had not installed it. This highlights a critical lesson in cybersecurity: the importance of patching software vulnerabilities. Software updates often include security patches that fix known vulnerabilities. Failing to install these updates makes systems vulnerable to attack. Patching may seem like a small thing, but it can make all the difference. In the case of the Carbonac heist, it could have prevented the theft of $1 billion. Section 9. Stay safe in a world of cybercrime. The Carbonac heist was a wake-up call for the financial industry and the world. It was a stark reminder that no one is immune to cyber threats. It showed us that cybercrime is not a victimless crime. The impact is far-reaching and can be devastating. It can have real-world consequences, affecting businesses, individuals, and the global economy. The ripple effects can be felt for years. In a world that is increasingly reliant on technology, cybersecurity is more important than ever. Our digital lives need to be protected just as much as our physical ones. We all have a role to play in protecting ourselves and our organizations from cyber threats. It's a collective responsibility. Here are a few things you can do to enhance your cybersecurity. Be wary of suspicious emails. They are often the gateway to more serious attacks. Don't click on links or open attachments from unknown senders. Always verify the source. Use strong passwords and two-factor authentication. This adds an extra layer of security. This makes it harder for hackers to access your accounts. Keep your software updated to protect against vulnerabilities. Install security patches as soon as they are available. Delaying updates can leave you exposed. Educate yourself about cybersecurity threats. Knowledge is power, and staying informed is crucial. The more you know about the latest threats, the better equipped you'll be to protect yourself. Stay ahead of the curve. The Carbonac Group may have gotten away with $1 billion, but we can learn from their crimes. Their actions serve as a lesson for us all. By taking cybersecurity seriously, we can make it harder for them and other cybercriminals to succeed. Every step we take counts. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and stay safe. Together, we can create a more secure digital world. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more insights on cybersecurity and stay updated with the latest trends. In the annals of American crime, one heist stands above all others. The year was 1950. The target: Brink's Armored Car Company in Boston. For 2 years, a team of 11 men meticulously planned their operation. They studied guard rotations, memorized schedules, and crafted elaborate disguises. On a cold January night, they struck with surgical precision. In just 15 minutes, they absconded with over $2 million in cash and securities. It was the largest robbery in US history at the time. The audacity of the crime shocked the nation. For 6 years, the perpetrators evaded justice. This is the story of the Brinks job, the greatest heist in American history. Some stories are told in hushed tones, tales of daring, meticulous planning, and audacity. These are the stories of great heists, and one stands above the rest in American crime. The details are shrouded in mystery, fueling endless speculation. The masterminds vanished, the fortune never fully recovered. It's a puzzle with missing pieces, a legend that refuses to fade. The ambition was staggering, the risks colossal. One wrong move would have meant disaster. The impact was immediate, shockwaves across the nation, authorities baffled, the media in a frenzy. This wasn't just a theft, it became a modern legend. It challenged ideas of security, ingenuity, and even heroism. The echoes of that day still linger. What truly happened remains elusive, but the story endures, whispered and debated, a benchmark for criminal ambition. America's fascination with outlaws runs deep. Jesse James, Bonnie and Clyde, and the masterminds of legendary heists. Heists are more than theft. They're seen as rebellion, cleverness outwitting power. Hollywood amplifies this allure, turning criminals into anti-heroes. The thrill of the chase overshadows the consequences. Each successful heist is a direct challenge to order, sparking a relentless battle of wits. Security evolves, criminals adapt, an endless cat-and-mouse game. This particular heist didn't just follow a blueprint, it redefined the genre. It pushed the boundaries of what was possible. The crime became a seismic event, forcing everyone to reconsider the limits of audacity. It's not just history, it's legend. Mid-20th century America. Optimism on the surface, anxiety beneath. The city was a character steel towers above, shadowy alleys below. Dreams and desperation collided in its relentless rhythm. Not everyone shared in the prosperity. The gap between rich and poor widened. For some, the American dream felt out of reach, temptation growing. These undercurrents created fertile ground for extraordinary schemes. Unseen by most, a storm was brewing. Ambition, opportunity, and daring converged in hidden corners. Whispers of an audacious idea began to circulate. Most were oblivious, but for a select few, anticipation grew. The stage was set for something unforgettable. The city's energy masked the brewing plot. Soon, the impossible would be attempted. The team wasn't ordinary. They were specialists, each chosen for a unique skill. Some were masters of electronics, others experts in deception or security. Their backgrounds were hidden, their motives varied, revenge, challenge, or the lure of wealth. Anonymity was their shield, trust, their bond. The leader was a strategist, not a showman. Obsessive, meticulous, inspiring loyalty. Meetings were secret, communications discreet. They moved like ghosts, preparing for a legendary act. The risks were immense, but so was the thrill. What bound them was more than money. It was the chance to make history. Together, they became an invisible force, ready to strike. Their target was a fortress, impenetrable, iconic, a symbol of ultimate security. To breach it was to challenge the established order. The prize was legendary, enough to change destinies. This was about more than riches. It was about achieving the impossible. The idea began as a whisper, then grew through painstaking reconnaissance. They studied every detail, searching for a single flaw. The stakes were astronomical. Failure meant erasure. Success meant legend. The psychological pressure was immense. Doubts gnawed, but the allure of the prize prevailed. They crafted a plan as intricate as the target's defenses. The impossible was about to become real. The decision was made, the target chosen. Information was their first weapon. Observation began at the periphery. Public records, news clippings, anything useful. Surveillance was patient and discreet: parked cars, rented rooms, binoculars, notebooks. Every guard's routine, every delivery, every shift change was logged. They sought not just schedules, but human weaknesses, moments of distraction, patterns of complacency. Infrastructure was mapped: power, phones, ventilation. The work was tedious, the risks constant. Discovery would mean disaster. They blended in, becoming invisible. Each detail was a piece of the puzzle. Brick by brick, they built the foundation for an audacious dream. The long hours of observation began to yield information. Now came the challenge, transforming this raw data into a workable plan. This was where the true artistry of the heist would take shape. The team would convene in secret. Perhaps they had acquired blueprints of the target. These documents would be their sacred texts, pored over for hours. Timetables of guard movements, notes on alarm system types, photographs of key areas, all would be laid bare. Different approaches would be debated, argued, and refined. How to bypass state-of-the-art alarm systems of the era. They would need to consider entry, movement within the target, accessing the ultimate prize, and crucially, the escape. Inevitably, disagreements would have surfaced. Ultimately, consensus had to be reached. With blueprints in hand, the theoretical phase ended. Preparations began. Sourcing equipment was dangerous. Specialist tools couldn't be bought without raising suspicion. Each item had to be acquired discreetly. Some tools were custom-made, others bought through clandestine channels. Every piece of gear was checked. Then came rehearsals. They built mock-ups of the target. The safecracker simulated his work against the clock. The entry team rehearsed their movements and signals. Timing was everything. Drills built muscle memory, ensuring they could operate on instinct. Obstacles arose. The plan had to be a living document, capable of evolving. As the day approached, tension filled the air. It was the point of no return, a final check of every tool. The team felt fear, determination, and anticipation. They stood on the precipice. The city hummed, oblivious. Millions slept, or went about their routines unaware. But for a select few, this night was the culmination of meticulous planning. In hidden locations, final checks were made. Faces were grim, etched with resolve. Each member knew their role. Then the signal. One by one, they began to move. Vehicles slipped into the sparse traffic. They were moving towards a point of no return. The building loomed, seemingly unbreachable. For a few tense minutes, they observed. The first member made the initial move, perhaps disabling an external camera. They were in. Inside, the city sounds faded, replaced by an unnatural stillness. They moved like ghosts, their knowledge of the layout put to the test. Communication was minimal, relying on hand signals. Bypassing security was a nerve-wracking challenge. Infrared beams had to be detected and circumvented. Surveillance cameras had their views temporarily obscured. The deeper they ventured, the more complex the security became. Suddenly, a muffled thud. Was it a guard, or just the building settling? They were intruders in a hostile environment. They pressed on, reaching a reinforced door. The lock was complex. The door finally gave way. The air grew colder as they approached the heart of the fortress. This was it, the main vault, an engineering marvel designed to withstand almost any assault. Its presence dominated the space, a silent steel sentinel guarding unimaginable wealth. The team took their positions. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation and intense concentration. The safecracker, the artist of the team, stepped forward. They knelt before the massive door, their fingers beginning their delicate dance. They listened with a stethoscope, trying to discern the faint clicks of tumblers. The other members maintained a vigilant watch. Time seemed to crawl. Then, a subtle shift, a click that sounded different. The massive bolts began to retract. The safecracker gave the signal. The heavy vault door began to groan open, revealing the tangible proof of their success. The first glimpse inside was dazzling. But there was no time for celebration, only a grim focus on the next phase. The vault was open. Inside, the sheer volume of the prize was breathtaking. Their plan dictated a swift, methodical collection. Designated bags were opened. They worked with a focused efficiency, moving with purpose. They targeted specific containers, specific types of valuables as per their intelligence. It was a carefully managed extraction, designed to maximize their take. As the bags grew heavy, the reality of their accomplishment began to sink in. They had done it. They had breached the unbreachable. With the valuables secured, the most dangerous phase began, the withdrawal. Retracing their steps through the silent corridors, they were burdened. Every shadow seemed deeper, every distant sound more menacing. Their senses were on high alert, scanning for any sign of detection. Then they slipped back out through their entry point, melting into the pre-dawn gloom. The heist itself was complete. Now, the even more challenging task of vanishing began. The vault door clicked shut. Their exit was meticulously planned. They slipped out as individuals or pairs, melting into the pre-dawn shadows. The streets were deserted. Each member followed a rehearsed path, avoiding cameras. Getaway vehicles were parked blocks away. They drove calmly, blending with traffic. The stolen goods were a reminder of their feat and the risk. The crew began separating. Some made for transport hubs, Items were wiped clean and discarded. As sunlight touched the city, they were becoming ghosts. They had a head start to obscure their trails, to transform back into ordinary faces. Their most valuable possession now was anonymity. The new day dawned like any other. Inside the bank, however, the morning routine was about to be irrevocably shattered. A door unexpectedly unlocked, a light burning where it shouldn't. The sight that greeted them was one of utter violation. The massive vault door, perhaps standing ajar. Inside, the scene of controlled chaos. The authorities arrived to a scene of bewildered employees. The sheer audacity of the crime was immediately apparent. It didn't take long for the media to catch the scent. The early news flashes were sensational. "Impossible heist," screamed the headlines. There was outrage and fear. The legend was already beginning to form. The initial police response was swift, yet the scale of the scene was overwhelming. The city's finest quickly realized this was different. The Federal Bureau of Investigation was called in. A dedicated task force was assembled almost immediately. The pressure on law enforcement was immense, unprecedented. No one had ever witnessed a crime of this magnitude. The entire city, the whole nation, watched and waited. Forensic teams descended upon the violated building. They searched meticulously for the smallest of clues. Every surface was carefully dusted for fingerprints. Specialists collected stray fibers, hairs, anything out of place. The vault itself underwent intense scrutiny. The work was painstaking, inch by painstaking inch. They were hoping the criminals had made one tiny mistake. One overlooked detail could break the case wide open. Theories began to swirl almost instantly. Who possessed the skill, the nerve for such an act? They were professionals, that much was chillingly clear. Some investigators whispered about a possible inside job. The media naturally fanned the flames of speculation. Wild guesses and expert opinions filled the airwaves. The public remained utterly captivated by the drama, but solid, actionable leads were disturbingly scarce. The criminals, it seemed, had simply vanished. They disappeared like phantoms into the morning mist. A profound sense of frustration settled over the investigators. They knew they had been thoroughly outmaneuvered. The sheer sophistication of the heist was startling. This was not the work of common thugs. This was a new breed of criminal enterprise. They faced a truly formidable, almost invisible adversary. The manhunt quickly expanded, its net cast wide. Detectives began the exhaustive process of interviews. Countless hours were spent questioning potential witnesses. Known informants were squeezed for any scrap of information. The files of established, high-level criminal crews were scrutinized. It was a monumental task, sifting through mountains of data. The sheer volume of information was almost overwhelming. Every lead, no matter how small, had to be pursued. In the critical early days, were opportunities missed? It's a question that would haunt the investigation. Perhaps a vital piece of information was dismissed too quickly, or a potential witness statement not given enough weight. Rivalries between different law enforcement agencies could also play a part. Such internal frictions sometimes hampered progress. The culprits, wherever they were, benefited from any delay. Time for them was a valuable and rapidly accumulating ally. More concrete theories started to form, though often conflicting. How had such a vast quantity of loot been transported? And where could it possibly be concealed without a trace? Some investigators suspected sophisticated international connections. Perhaps the valuables were already overseas, beyond their reach. Others believed the stolen goods were hidden closer to home. The truth, however, remained stubbornly elusive, a frustrating puzzle. Too many crucial pieces were still missing from view. Days bled into weeks, and then weeks into months. The trail, once hoped to be warm, grew increasingly cold. The masterminds behind the audacious heist remained phantoms. Public fascination with the case never truly faded. Yet, hope for swift arrests and a full recovery dwindled. The investigation became a legend in its own right. Not for its successes, but for the enduring mystery. The culprits were out there somewhere, enjoying their victory. The heist became a defining moment, illustrating audacious ambition. It lives on in the public consciousness, a tale whispered with condemnation and awe. The nerve of the perpetrators, their meticulous planning, and flawless execution elevated it beyond a simple crime. It became a benchmark against which daring plunder would be measured, capturing the imagination and morphing into a modern legend. Its allure lies in its persistent mystery. Questions remain unanswered despite decades of investigation. Who were the true architects? This lack of closure keeps its legendary status alive. The impact on American crime and institutions was profound. It served as a wake-up call for security agencies. Sweeping reforms and more robust security protocols followed. This heist broke open an era of perceived security. It represents a failure of security, yet a testament to human ingenuity. The story resonates because it touches upon our fascination with the audacious and the seemingly impossible made real. We invite you to subscribe to our channel. Check out our playlist for more intriguing stories. The internet we use is just the surface web. Beneath it lies the dark web, hidden from search engines. It requires special software to access, shrouded in secrecy. A key to accessing it is often a browser called Tor, the onion router. It encrypts your data, wrapping it in layers of security. People venture into this digital abyss for varied reasons. For some, it is a haven for free speech. In countries with oppressive regimes, it offers a platform to communicate and share information. The dark web is a double-edged sword. It has become a marketplace for illegal goods and services. This duality is what makes the dark web so compelling and dangerous. The core promise of the dark web is anonymity. It's the foundational principle upon which this entire hidden ecosystem is built. The technology, primarily the Tor network, is designed to sever the link between who you are and what you do online. It's an alluring concept, the idea that you can explore, communicate, and transact without leaving a digital footprint that leads back to your front door. This promise draws in millions of users, each seeking a level of privacy that the surface web simply cannot provide. For many, this anonymity is not about hiding criminal intent, but about reclaiming a sense of personal space in an increasingly monitored world, a digital life free from the prying eyes of governments and corporations. This pursuit of digital invisibility has created a culture where one's online persona is everything. On the dark web, you are not known by your real name, your face, or your location. You are known by your username, your reputation, and your PGP key, a form of public key cryptography used to encrypt messages. Trust is a rare and valuable currency, earned through careful interactions and verified transactions over long periods. A single mistake, a moment of carelessness known as an operational security failure, or OPSEC failure, can shatter this carefully constructed anonymity in an instant. A slip of the tongue in a forum, or reusing an old password, can be the thread that unravels everything. Yet the idea of perfect, unbreakable anonymity is more of a myth than a reality. While the technology is powerful, it is not infallible. Law enforcement agencies and intelligence services around the world have invested enormous resources into developing techniques to de-anonymize dark web users. They employ a range of methods, from exploiting software vulnerabilities and analyzing network traffic patterns to good old-fashioned undercover police work. They create fake profiles, infiltrate criminal forums, and patiently wait for targets to make a mistake. The digital shadows are not as impenetrable as many of their inhabitants believe them to be. This creates a constant, high-stakes game of cat and mouse. On one side, you have the users and operators of dark websites, constantly refining their methods, updating their security, and sharing knowledge to stay one step ahead. They are a community bound by a shared desire to remain hidden. On the other side, you have a global network of investigators, cyber experts, and analysts dedicated to peeling back the layers of encryption and bringing criminals to justice. It's a technological arms race, fought in the unseen corners of the internet, where the slightest advantage can mean the difference between freedom and a prison cell. Into this complex and dangerous world, a new figure emerged. He didn't just participate in the dark web's illicit economy, he sought to dominate it. He was ambitious, intelligent, and possessed a rare combination of technical skill and criminal vision. He understood the architecture of the dark web, the psychology of its users, and the loopholes in law enforcement. While others operated small-time scams or sold goods in modest quantities, he envisioned something on a scale never seen before. He saw the potential to build a true criminal empire, a one-stop shop for illegal goods that would eclipse all competitors and set a new standard for dark web marketplaces. This individual, who would soon become known as the King of the Dark Web, was a master of his craft. He wasn't just another vendor, he was an architect. He built a platform that was not only user-friendly and reliable, but also boasted a level of security that made users feel safe. He implemented features that were revolutionary for the time. like an escrow system to protect buyers and a rating system to build trust. His website was slick, professional, and far more sophisticated than the clunky, amateurish sites that were common at the time. He effectively brought the customer service principles of a legitimate e-commerce giant like Amazon to the criminal underworld. The impact was immediate and profound. His marketplace quickly became the go-to destination for anyone looking to buy or sell illicit goods online. The sheer volume of transactions was staggering, involving everything from narcotics and weapons to hacking tools and stolen data. He wasn't just a facilitator, he was a brand. His name, or rather his pseudonym, became synonymous with the dark web itself. He was discussed in hushed tones in private forums and in headlines in the mainstream media. He had become a legend, a ghost in the machine who controlled a multi-million-dollar criminal enterprise from the shadows, seemingly untouchable. This rise to power did not go unnoticed. For law enforcement agencies across the globe, he became public enemy number one. He wasn't just a criminal, he was a symbol of the dark web's lawlessness and a direct challenge to their authority. The question on every investigator's mind was the same. Who was this person? A lone genius? The leader of a sophisticated criminal organization? Was he in Russia? America? No one knew. Unmasking this digital kingpin became one of the largest and most complex manhunts in the history of cybercrime. The stage was set for an epic confrontation between a new kind of criminal and a new generation of digital detectives. The man who would be king built his empire with precision and a revolutionary idea. His name was Ross Ulbricht, an intelligent American with an interest in libertarian economic theories. Beneath this exterior, a radical ideology was taking root. He envisioned a place where these principles could be put into practice without legal constraints, an anonymous marketplace. He chose the Tor network for anonymity and Bitcoin as the medium of exchange. In early 2011, this vision became a reality. He named it Silk Road, designed to be the Amazon of illegal drugs. It featured user profiles, product listings, and a feedback system that allowed buyers and sellers to rate each other. Ulbricht had to seed the market himself, promoting the site on various forums. He wasn't just building a website, he was cultivating a community. The growth of Silk Road was explosive. Word spread quickly online. What started small soon transformed into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. Users flocked to the platform, drawn by the convenience and variety of goods. For the first time, people could order illegal drugs from home and have them delivered discreetly. The site removed the need for dangerous encounters with street dealers. It was a revolution in the drug trade, moving it into the digital realm. The marketplace was a marvel of criminal efficiency. Vendors from all over the world set up digital storefronts, offering everything from cannabis to heroin. The quality of the products was often reviewed and rated. This was a far cry from buying on the street. Ulbricht's escrow system was the cornerstone of this trust. Bitcoin payments were held by Silk Road until the goods were received. This protected both parties from scams. Ulbricht took a commission on every sale, a small percentage that quickly snowballed into a fortune. The impact on the cyber world was seismic. Silk Road became the flagship enterprise of the dark web, proving that it was possible to run a large-scale criminal operation with anonymity. It popularized the use of Tor and Bitcoin. Other aspiring dark web entrepreneurs watched and learned, copying Silk Road's model to create their own marketplaces. Ulbricht had created a blueprint for 21st century organized crime. To protect his identity, Ross Ulbricht became the Dread Pirate Roberts, a name inspired by the Princess Bride, a persona meant to be immortal, passed from one to another. This mask let Ulbricht lead Silk Road as an enigmatic philosophical figure posting manifestos and engaging users in debates about freedom and economics. DPR projected calm authority, earning trust and loyalty from thousands in his digital kingdom. But as Silk Road grew, the pressures mounted, and Ulbricht's idealism darkened. When a rogue employee threatened the site, DPR allegedly turned to violence seeking a hitman on the dark web. Multiple murder-for-hire plots were reportedly commissioned to protect his empire. The libertarian dreamer was now acting like a real drug lord, willing to use lethal force. Law enforcement took notice. Now they weren't just after a website admin, but a suspected killer. The hunt for the Dread Pirate Roberts intensified, as the myth became a manhunt. The king of the dark web was now the most wanted man online. Silk Road's rise drew global law enforcement attention, but the site's anonymity posed a unique challenge. Hidden on the Tor network, Silk Road's server and its kingpin, DPR, were digital phantoms. Investigators faced dead ends. Tor's encryption made traditional tracking useless. A special task force combined old-school narcotics agents with cybercrime experts, learning to speak each other's language. They infiltrated Silk Road, making undercover purchases and building digital personas. Operation Marco Polo was born, a patient, covert effort to blend into the community. Agents meticulously documented every post and transaction, waiting for a single mistake. They knew any misstep could cause DPR to vanish, so subtlety was key. The investigation became a quiet war of attrition, hoping for one thread to unravel the mystery. The world's best investigators were now part of the Silk Road underworld. The breakthrough came not from hacking, but from classic police work, intercepting drug packages in the mail. Postal inspectors traced shipments to key Silk Road vendors, flipping one in Utah who provided inside intel on DPR. Now, law enforcement had a direct line to their target. Meanwhile, IRS investigator Gary Alford followed the money, searching for Silk Road's earliest digital traces. He found a forum post by Altoid promoting Silk Road, then another where Altoid asked for replies to rosselbricht@gmail.com. This tiny slip connected the Dread Pirate Roberts to a real name. Months before Silk Road's infamy, Ulbricht had left a digital breadcrumb. For investigators, it was the first crack in DPR's armor. Now they had a name to match the legend. The digital ghost was becoming real. The chase was on. With Ross Ulbricht identified, investigators needed to link him to Silk Road's operations and Bitcoin fortune. The FBI's cyber team traced Silk Road's Bitcoin commissions through the blockchain, mapping thousands of transactions. Despite using mixers to obscure funds, patterns emerged, leading to accounts on Bitcoin exchanges. Subpoenas revealed accounts accessed from locations tied to Ulbricht, including a San Francisco cafe. The money trail and data trail converged, tightening the net. Bitcoin, once thought untraceable, became DPR's undoing. Each transaction brought law enforcement closer to their target. The digital empire's financial web was unraveling. The evidence was mounting. The real world and online worlds were about to collide. Undercover agents posing as trusted Silk Road insiders engaged DPR in encrypted chats, gathering critical evidence. They staged scenarios, even faking a murder for hire, to draw Ulbricht deeper into their trap. The psychological game was intense. Agents lived double lives, while Ulbricht confided in them, unaware he was speaking to law enforcement. These conversations revealed DPR's paranoia, intelligence, and willingness to resort to violence. Meanwhile, FBI agent Chris Tarbell hunted for the Silk Road server's location. A misconfigured capture briefly exposed the server's real IP address in Iceland. This fatal error gave investigators everything: a name, a money trail, incriminating chats, and the server's location. The digital fortress had been breached. The investigation was complete. The time had come to capture the king of the dark web. The endgame was set in motion. With all the pieces assembled, the final act could begin. Investigators had their man, Ross Ulbricht, and the Silk Road server location. They needed to catch Ulbricht red-handed, logged into the Silk Road master account as Dread Pirate Roberts. The FBI tracked Ulbricht's movements, observing his routines in San Francisco. The Glen Park Library was a frequent spot. They had to be careful not to cause a panic or allow him to close his laptop, which would encrypt the hard drive. Undercover agents were positioned inside the library. A team in Iceland stood by, ready to image the Silk Road server. Two agents would create a loud distraction, another agent would seize the open laptop. The stage was set for the final confrontation. On October 1st, 2013, tension was high. Ross Ulbricht entered the Glen Park Library, as anticipated. He sat at a table, opened his laptop, and connected to the library's Wi-Fi. Undercover agents signaled that the target was in position. They watched his screen, waiting for him to log into the Silk Road's admin panel. Jared der Yegyayan, working undercover as Cirrus, engaged Dread Pirate Roberts in a chat. This ensured Ulbricht was on the right page. Der Yegyayan, as Cirrus, sent a message to DPR. Ulbricht navigated to the master list of site functions. The agents saw what they were waiting for and gave the signal. An argument nearby distracted Ulbricht. The takedown agent moved in. She grabbed the laptop and passed it to another agent. Ulbricht was surrounded and placed in handcuffs. The event was over in less than 30 seconds. The screen displayed the Silk Road admin page, with Dread Pirate Roberts logged in. It was the digital smoking gun. Agents moved in on the data center and created a mirror image of the Silk Road server. The arrest of Ross Ulbricht sent shockwaves through the internet and exploded into mainstream media headlines. The Dread Pirate Roberts, who had commanded a billion-dollar criminal empire, was a 29-year-old man from Texas. Their supposedly secure haven had been breached. The king had been captured and nobody was safe. Investigators had unrestricted access to Ulbricht's entire operation, including private journals and financial records. In the aftermath, the FBI shut down the Silk Road website. Instead, they saw a seizure notice from the Department of Justice. The myth of perfect anonymity had been shattered, and the era of carefree dark web enterprise was over. For Ross Ulbricht, the journey from visionary architect to captured kingpin was complete. He was charged with money laundering, computer hacking, conspiracy to traffic narcotics, and continuing a criminal enterprise. The libertarian idealist was now facing the full force of the system. The trial of Ross Ulbricht began in January 2015, quickly becoming a closely watched legal battle. The prosecution painted him as a ruthless digital drug lord who built a massive criminal enterprise. They presented Ulbricht's digital diary and chat logs discussing site management and, chillingly, murder for hire. The defense argued Ulbricht lost control of Silk Road and was a scapegoat. Despite their efforts, the evidence was too compelling. The jury found Ross Ulbricht guilty on all 7 counts. The verdict was a decisive victory for the government. The trial was over, but the sentencing would send an even stronger message. Ross Ulbricht's life sentence sent a shockwave through the dark web community. It was the harshest possible penalty, a stark warning. The message: operating a dark web marketplace would be treated with extreme severity. The fall of Silk Road created a chilling effect, but the vacuum didn't last. New marketplaces like Silk Road 2.0 rose to take its place. Operators implemented more sophisticated security measures and improved their operational security. The adoption of more anonymous cryptocurrencies like Monero became standard. Law enforcement had cut off the head of the Hydra, but several new, more resilient heads had grown. The market became decentralized and fragmented. The threat had morphed into a resilient, scattered network, a problem that continues to plague authorities to this day. The legacy of Ross Ulbricht, the Dread Pirate Roberts, is complex. To the US government, he's a digital drug kingpin. His capture is a victory in the war on cybercrime. The case established legal precedents for prosecuting cryptocurrency crimes. To his supporters, Ross Ulbricht is a political prisoner. They view him as a visionary punished for challenging the state's power. Silk Road profoundly changed the internet. It catapulted Bitcoin into a globally recognized financial instrument. The investigation forced law enforcement to develop new capabilities in digital forensics. The story of the Dread Pirate Roberts highlights the duality of the tools we create. The hunt for Ross Ulbricht was a defining conflict. It explored tensions between freedom and security in our online lives. The fall of its first king forever changed the rules. The Silk Road saga forced the world to confront the realities of our digital existence. It demonstrated the fallibility of digital anonymity. Ross Ulbricht's capture proved anonymity is a myth. The digital and physical worlds are intrinsically linked. Silk Road educated society on cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. The investigation debunked the notion that Bitcoin was completely anonymous. Ultimately, it's a lesson about the dark side of idealism. The pursuit of a lawless utopia can lead one to become the very monster they sought to defeat. The Silk Road takedown was a landmark victory, but it was by no means the end of the war against cybercrime. It was merely the end of a single battle. The dark web today is a far more fragmented and chaotic landscape. Instead of one marketplace, there are now dozens, constantly appearing and disappearing. There is no single head of the snake to cut off anymore. For every new method law enforcement develops, the criminals develop new techniques to hide. The battle has moved deeper into the shadows, a constant struggle for an advantage. The dark web is now a breeding ground for a wider array of cybercrime. The dark web has become the back office for a global cybercrime industry. For law enforcement and security professionals, this means the job is never done. The fight it heralded is one that has no clear end in sight. Looking ahead, the dark web and its challenges aren't disappearing. Encryption and anonymity tools will remain critical for journalists, activists, and citizens facing oppression. This duality will persist, a haven for some, a hideout for others. Society must disrupt crime without undermining essential privacy tools. AI could bring sophisticated malware, while quantum computing threatens current encryption. As IoT expands, so do potential targets. The stakes in this cat-and-mouse game are rising. The hunt for the king of the dark web teaches us about ambition, idealism, greed, and fallibility. The digital world mirrors our society. Understand the darkness, navigate wisely, and build a free, secure digital future. The digital abyss is vast. One kingpin's fall is just one story. Subscribe for more mysteries of the digital age. Thank you for watching. The internet, a vast and often chaotic landscape, breeds strange phenomena. Few, however, are as captivating and perplexing as Cicada 3301. It began in 2012, a whisper in the digital ether. A cryptic image, appearing on the anonymous message board 4chan, beckoned those curious enough to seek its hidden message. This marked the start of a digital scavenger hunt unlike any other. One that would captivate the world's attention and spark countless theories about its true nature. Cicada 3301 wasn't just another internet puzzle. It was intricately designed, demanding a wide range of skills from its participants: cryptography, steganography, number theory, and even obscure literary knowledge. The puzzles led participants across the internet, into the real world, and back again. Phone numbers were posted, leading to pre-recorded messages. QR codes appeared on posters plastered on telephone poles in multiple countries. This elaborate nature, coupled with the complete anonymity of its creators, fueled intense speculation. Was this a recruitment tool for a secret society? A government agency seeking brilliant minds? Or simply a group of bored hackers with too much time on their hands? Whatever the answer, Cicada 3301 had woven a captivating mystery, and the internet was hooked. The mystery deepened as quickly as it emerged. After weeks of intricate puzzles and real-world clues, the trail went cold. Cicada 3301 vanished as abruptly as it appeared, leaving behind more questions than answers. The silence was deafening, fueling endless debates and theories in its wake. Cicada 3301, it seemed, was just getting started. The enigma had only begun to unravel, and the digital world was left in a state of perpetual curiosity, always wondering what would come next. The elusive nature of Cicada 3301 makes it difficult to pinpoint its exact origins or the individuals behind it. The only claimed connection to the puzzle came from those who successfully solved it. These individuals, shrouded in anonymity themselves, reported being contacted and invited to join a private forum. This forum, they claimed, focused on security, cryptography, and privacy. Beyond these scant details, the identities and motivations of Cicada 3301's creators remained shrouded in mystery. The lack of a clear objective fueled speculation, leading to numerous theories and wild guesses. Some believe it to be a recruitment tool for organizations like the CIA or NSA, seeking individuals with exceptional code-breaking skills. Others speculate it could be the work of a secret society, protecting ancient knowledge or promoting specific ideologies. Yet, concrete evidence supporting these theories remains elusive and hard to find. The puzzles themselves offer few clues, focusing primarily on technical skill and problem solving. The lack of a political or financial agenda further muddies the waters, making it difficult to discern any ulterior motives. The anonymity surrounding Cicada 3301 is perhaps its most defining feature. It speaks to a desire for privacy and secrecy in an increasingly interconnected world. Whether the creators are a shadowy organization or a group of individuals, their commitment to anonymity has only added to the enigma. Cicada 3301's allure stemmed not just from its mystery, but from the intricate puzzles themselves. These puzzles were designed to challenge the intellect and creativity of participants, pushing them to their cognitive limits. The first puzzle, appearing on 4chan, was just the tip of the iceberg. It was a tantalizing glimpse into a much larger and more complex web of enigmas. It led to a series of increasingly complex challenges, each requiring a different set of skills and knowledge. Participants had to think outside the box and often collaborate with others to make progress. Cryptography, the art of secret writing, played a central role. The puzzles demanded a deep understanding of cryptographic principles and techniques. Participants found themselves deciphering messages hidden within images, using a variety of techniques like Caesar ciphers and substitution ciphers. These methods required not only technical skill but also a keen eye for detail. Steganography, the art of concealing information within other information, added another layer of complexity. This technique required participants to look beyond the obvious and uncover hidden layers of meaning. Hidden messages were embedded within images, audio files, and even physical objects. This multifaceted approach kept participants on their toes, constantly guessing where the next clue might be hidden. The puzzles often drew upon diverse fields of knowledge, ranging from number theory and computer programming to classical literature and ancient history. This interdisciplinary approach made the puzzles both challenging and educational. One puzzle required knowledge of Mayan numerals, while another referenced a poem by William Blake. These diverse references showcased the creator's vast knowledge and the depth of the puzzles. This breadth of knowledge required to solve the puzzles was staggering, hinting at the creator's own intellectual prowess. Participants had to be well-versed in multiple disciplines to stand a chance. The puzzles weren't confined to the digital world. They extended into the real world, creating a bridge between the virtual and physical realms. Clues led participants to physical locations across the globe, from telephone poles in Poland to monuments in Australia. This global reach added a sense of adventure and urgency. This real-world element added a layer of intrigue and excitement, transforming the puzzle from a solitary online activity into a global treasure hunt. Participants had to travel, explore, and collaborate in the real world. As the puzzles progressed, they became increasingly difficult, weeding out those who lacked the dedication or skill to continue. Only the most persistent and skilled participants could keep up with the escalating challenges. Only a select few managed to reach the final stages, their identities and experiences remaining largely unknown to this day. The mystery of who they were and what they discovered continues to captivate the imagination. Cicada 3301, despite its ephemeral nature, left an undeniable mark on internet culture. This enigmatic puzzle captivated the minds of many, drawing them into a world of cryptography and mystery. It demonstrated the power of anonymity and the allure of the unknown in the digital age. The puzzle's creators remained hidden, adding to the mystique and intrigue that surrounded it. The puzzle's virality showcased the internet's ability to connect individuals from diverse backgrounds with a shared interest in mystery and problem-solving. People from all walks of life came together, united by their curiosity and determination to solve the puzzle. The impact of Cicada 3301 extended beyond the realm of online puzzles. It became a cultural phenomenon, sparking widespread interest and media coverage. It sparked discussions about privacy, security, and the power of cryptography in an increasingly digital world. The puzzle highlighted the importance of protecting one's digital footprint and the potential vulnerabilities in our online systems. The puzzle's emphasis on anonymity resonated with those concerned about government surveillance and data collection. It served as a reminder of the delicate balance between security and privacy in the digital age. The mystery surrounding Cicada 3301 also fueled a cottage industry of speculation and analysis. Enthusiasts and experts alike delved into the puzzle, offering their theories and interpretations. Websites dedicated to deciphering the puzzles, forums buzzing with theories, and online communities formed around the shared goal of solving the mystery. And countless YouTube videos attempting to unravel the mystery emerged in the years following the first puzzle. Content creators found a niche audience eager for insights and updates on the latest developments. Cicada 3.301's legacy lives on in popular culture. Its influence can be seen in various forms of media, from movies and books to video games and art. It inspired numerous works of fiction, capturing the imaginations of writers and creators who sought to explore the themes of mystery and cryptography, from novels and short stories to documentaries and television shows. The puzzle's enigmatic nature made it a perfect subject for storytelling and exploration. The puzzle's air of mystery and intrigue continues to captivate imaginations, serving as a reminder of the internet's ability to foster both collaboration and enigma. It stands as a testament to the power of collective intelligence and the human desire to uncover the unknown. The puzzle's impact on education and recruitment is also noteworthy. It has been used as a teaching tool in classrooms, illustrating the practical applications of cryptography and problem-solving skills. It highlighted the importance of STEM skills in the digital age, encouraging students to pursue studies in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Inspiring many to pursue careers in cryptography, computer science, and cybersecurity. The puzzle's complexity and the skills required to solve it have made it a benchmark for aspiring professionals in these fields. Some speculate that Cicada 3.301 may have even served as a successful recruitment tool for organizations seeking individuals with these skills. Its legacy continues to influence and inspire, leaving an indelible mark on the digital landscape. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Cicada 3.301, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more intriguing content. Stay curious and keep exploring the mysteries of the internet.